Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Jay Wendell here with the Midwest Metal Show on Asylum Radio. And here with me today, I've got a chance to speak to, initially I wrote something out here because I was only going to be speaking to one of them, but I have the chance to talk to both John Browne and Mike Malyan of Monuments today, which I am very, very, very excited about. I've been digging your stuff for a while now. I was talking before we got on the air that with Browne that I initially was introduced to the band by the Devin Townsend Animals as Leaders tour and saw you guys in Cleveland, where your singer at the time was playing saxophone, Chris Barretto, when he was with you guys, and I have adored you guys ever since.
Thank you very much. Funny enough, that was actually a tour that Mike couldn't make at the time either. So we had Alex playing drums, Alex Rudinger, who I'm sure you're familiar with because he's a monster.
Yes.
Yeah, until recently played for Whitechapel. Yeah, he's an incredible drummer. I saw some of the shows that you guys did with him, and I remember how incredibly locked in and awesome it sounded from that. Yeah, that was one of the first tours that I couldn't do due to my injuries. I took a bit of a time out from the band. At the time, I thought it was like I can never do this again, but apparently I managed to beat it and come on back.
He's back.
He's back.
So speaking of touring, you guys have a number of dates in the UK, and you guys are doing Hellfest.
Yeah, we've also doing a couple of EU shows, and we've also got another festival called Dark River Festival in Finland, which will be pretty good as well. We've only played in Finland, I think, twice ever, so that'll be fun. No, 3 times, 3 shows.
We did 2 on the last tour, and then we did it once with Bill Gelson and Jeff Loomis.
Yeah, Jeff Loomis back in 2012.
Yeah,
it's a long time ago. Yeah, there's a lot more dates to be announced as well. We just haven't announced them yet.
We've got big plans for doing stuff in the States and Canada as well. It's just a matter of what can we announce, when do we know it's actually going to happen. We really don't want to keep announcing things and then pulling them back, so keep an eye out. You may well see some American dates coming up. We may well be back, but sooner than you realize.
I'd appreciate that. I'd love to see you guys live again.
Yeah, 4 times the charm, right? We only have to book a tour 4 times in this time period for it to go ahead.
Look, this might actually be the first time that I've seen you guys with somebody singing.
I think it'd be the same. It'd be first for lots of people, to be honest.
So,
yeah. Not to be too harsh, but yeah, I think and he's only missed 1 show, and he felt so bad about that one, and he was super sick that day.
I mean, really,
Switzerland, wasn't it?
I'm sure he felt bad, but by the same token, it's one of those things of really the fact that he's even up there at all singing is a little bit of a change of pace. So
yeah. He's got a super weak immune system as well, so like he works through illness constantly. Like it has to get really bad for him to pull out. He's a fucking trooper, truly.
Oh, that is fantastic, though. So, and then obviously the new album is dropping on the 15th.
Yeah,
and I'm very, very excited about that. I have that pre-ordered.
Have you got it? Have you heard it yet?
I have not heard the entire thing yet. I've just heard what you guys have put out so far online. So
interesting. Like you got us through press and they didn't send you the record. That's fucking rude.
Yeah, they were supposed to send it over.
I might have missed an email from Claire, and I'm going to be really upset if I did. So, but hey, regardless, I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of it. By the way, I'm really excited that you're not going to have there's not going to be too much difficulty in pronouncing the new album.
First time's the charm. Right. Yeah. The other ideas we got for the later ones, they go the other end of the spectrum. They'll never.
Even Phronesis though wasn't terribly difficult to pronounce, but like I'm still not sure that I know how to pronounce what's
the amanuensis.
Amanuensis. Okay. All right.
If you want to reference this, that name actually came from a movie called Cloud Atlas.
Oh, okay.
And the word amanuensis is literally just a silver spoon up your ass word for secretary.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah. Like in that film, it's like the amanuensis is the one who notates and finishes the musical ideas for the composer, who is decrepit and like and he treats the guy like shit. But it's an amazing narrative.
Yeah, man, it's been a word from like past, like, you know, those words that just disappear into oblivion but still are in the dictionary. It's one of those.
Yeah, when the assistant has to do more of the creative work than the composer, I think that's what it falls into, like amanuensis territory, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and also it's like Ghost; they don't get any credit at all.
So, let's see here, Mike. What's it like coming back to the band after spending so much time away?
It's sick. I love these guys. We're family. You know, we it sucked to have to not do it in 2015. It was one of the hardest decisions of my life. And at the time, I never knew if I was going to be able to do this kind of drumming professionally again. It was such an awesome moment when I realized it was going to be able to work out again. I just fucking love being with these guys and making music together. It's just been it's like the closest thing to like my dream kind of musical scenario to be in ever since I was a kid. So I'm just happy as a pig in shit right now, especially that so happy with the way this has all come out and how positive it's all feeling. It's a great time. Really feels awesome.
Well, you know, one thing I've always noticed too, like any of the stuff that you guys put up online and things like that, it always looks like you guys are having a blast together. So it's kind of nice to get everybody back together. Well, I mean, obviously there's been a little bit of change up, you know, with Andy being the singer now, with Ollie leaving. How's it been though with you, all of you guys working, especially with Andy too, because this is your first album with Andy?
Yeah, it's been really good actually. It's weird because obviously through COVID, I think that different bands had sort of different working scenarios. Like some bands just like went all out and did a million different things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for us, a lot of it is based on experiences, especially when it comes to writing. So it was quite difficult for us to get in the swing of it to begin with. And we didn't actually start writing this record till 4 months before it was due. And I think that once the idea started flowing, everyone kind of bounced off each other in a positive way. And everyone was sort of just like, yeah, you know, you'd send an idea and within a day or two, the other person's idea was already added to this idea. And it kind of just like, it was a cascading domino effect of getting the work done. And it was just really positive, the entire process. And obviously this is Andy's first record. And just seeing that kind of, I guess, inspiration to, you know, what from an outside perspective, just how inspired he was to get to work on this stuff. It kind of made me inspired at the same time. So yeah, it's been a great working environment. And as far as, you know, people leaving, unfortunately that, you know, just happens. People's life, you know, changes. They might want to do something different. And, you know, after 10 years or even more time, you know, that's a long time to put into one thing, isn't it?
Right.
So, you know, if people leave, it's not necessarily a negative thing. It just might be they want something different. Happens all the time. You know?
Well, one thing and you don't really have to comment more on this if you don't want to, but I know that there was definitely some stresses that came from working with Chris over the years, and it seems like Andy has been a much more stabilizing factor.
I would say so. Yeah. He's kind of like, he calls out the dysfunction as it happens, which is something we're less dysfunctional than we ever were. We were a bunch of absolute idiots most of the time.
I was still dysfunctional, but just less.
We are. It's great because we've got this team of awesome people, Andy included, and he's like, he really helps with communication because we're just a bunch of creatives. You know, sometimes we care, you know, maybe arguably not enough, arguably too much, and it's great sometimes to just have him in our corner and just start like openly discussing things, and it's it's magical. But it goes as far as with our new management and with and also with the co-production for the record of the mixing engineers. The whole thing just felt like an entirely new, stable, awesome situation to be around. And that, especially looking at how it used to be when I left, I didn't see some of those darker years, but I left as it was it was getting dark, because we were all just touring too much. What did we do? Like 190, 200 shows in that last year?
Yeah. So that that tour you saw us on, Jay, we'd been away from our houses since July.
Right.
So it was July till December 20th. And I think I had 2 and a bit weeks at home during that period. And I think that was kind of when it started going, everyone was being a little bit more negative. I think that when you do that amount of touring and maybe you don't have anything to show for it, or it didn't go quite as you planned, or on that particular tour as well, the last tour, Chris actually ended up getting nodes on his vocal cords, which then meant we had to cancel loads of tours that were offered to us going after that.
Right.
So it was kind of quite a negative vibe after that because of, things that we couldn't prevent. But it's about, I mean, that's kind of like what all bands go through, though. You have the ups and you have the downs, and that's, the way of life, isn't it? Balance. Funny enough, what the record's about. But yeah, I would say that even though Chris was an amazing frontman, an amazing vocalist, difficult to work with at times, mainly because he didn't answer phone calls or emails. But I mean, I can't fault his vocals. They were amazing, and they always will be.
Right.
Yeah. And we had some amazing times as well.
Yeah,
like
we
those,
did.
Those amanuensis era tours, it was such a breath of fresh air. And, we obviously, wish him the most well. And we were grateful to be able to do some sick stuff together. But the vibe is so different now.
Well, that album, Manphronesis, were both, he was spot on his vocals on both of those. Let's see here. Phronesis is still in my car that still has a CD player. It's this changer. I still have it in there. So
I've not had a CD player in my car for about 6 years.
My car was like right at the tail end, I think, of that, because I have it's a 2013 Volkswagen. But it still has a CD changer. It has Bluetooth in it too, but
sometimes CDs, you just want to physically put it in, don't you?
I'm big into collecting vinyl too. So I mean, it's one of those. So I have a huge ass vinyl collection at this point, which probably is one of the many reasons why I don't have as much money as I should at any given point. So
actually, yeah, same. I mean, I just ordered the new Meshuggah vinyl. It arrived today.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I just got that. Yep.
I gotta say that must be my favorite. I think that might be shaping up to be my favorite record, start to finish, at all from them. Like, there's something about this one that's just grooving so damn hard.
This is so. I want to say I had a weird favorite from them for a while, because Nothing was actually my favorite for a long while. That's actually what got me into Meshuggah. Just because it was right at that time where I started really listening to heavier stuff in general, and I think like between them and In Flames at the time were my two go-tos. So
that's quite radically different as well.
I mean,
same country, but completely different ends of the metal sonic spectrum.
Yeah, don't mind my cat running around in here.
It's all right.
I was just wondering if they were going to accidentally just step on the space bar and just end the call. I was like,
so in my old setup, she actually did that before. Actually, at one point she had managed to get my Ethernet cable loose from my computer, and it cut off. So
I've actually been having my dog in my studio recently, and he's a bit of an idiot, for lack of a better word. He's been walking around my speakers, and I've been so terrified of what he's going to do, because the speakers are £6,500 quid.
The monitors.
Yeah.
So you've been bringing him to the studio lately.
Yeah, been bringing my dog in, and he doesn't stop moving.
Yeah, so it's like, you're brave, man. But
if it was a cat, it wouldn't have entry into here ever.
No, because look, cats are assholes. I love my cat so much, but I've never had a cat that has not been an asshole. So, but the funny thing is, most of the dogs that I've had over the years, generally, while they might be excitable and everything like that, they're generally a lot nicer animals in general.
I think it's what it is that cats are kind of independent. You can just leave them to it, whereas dogs, their entire existence is reliant on you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you're not paying them attention, they will make you pay attention. And my dog seems to have a sixth sense of knowing that I'm stressed out when he's walking around those speakers. Yeah. So anyway, you were saying about Nothing. That was also my favorite Meshuggah record for pretty much since it came out. Like Catch 33 was also incredible. I really loved Obzen. As well.
Oh,
to be honest,
well, Bleed was like that song in general, and that hit was just I absolutely adored that song. So
that was probably the song that kind of made them who they are. Like before that, they were obviously a well-respected band, but I don't think that they'd quite reached as high as they could have gone.
They kind of broke into that next level, really.
Yeah. Even though I don't think that's the best song on that record.
No, I don't think so either. But it's still, it was like the perfect song to kind of get them that extra.
I remember the first time I heard that song, and I never remember when I first. Well, not never, but it's so seldom that you can picture exactly where you were, when you were, how you were feeling, what everything around you looked like, because that moment was just like, excuse me. You know, like it's just rude, isn't it? It's fucking amazing. But yeah,
I have that same moment with Catch 33. Actually, I remember being hungover out my ass at a house party the night before, and it came out, and just me, Ackle from Tesseract, Alex, who was a friend of ours, and everyone else who was at the party just sat down and listened to it, didn't speak a fucking word throughout the whole thing.
Sick.
And it was, and then obviously In Death Is Death came on. Everyone was like, ah. Still hungover, obviously.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Although, you know, Meshuggah has that's a hell of a way to listen to new Meshuggah when you're hungover. I feel like that's not going to help your hangover much.
No, but it made me smile. So in a way, it definitely did. Yeah.
Yeah, but the one that's making me smile the most for now is the I Am That Thirst. Ending of that is just like everything I've ever wanted from that sound. It squeezes into triplets in such a sick proggy, like in a way that is like I don't know. It kind of felt like the gent movement has always kind of moved off of, leached off and ripped off everything from there. But there are some things like those more odd things with triplets that bands like Tesseract and that we mess around with. I haven't heard so many things that have done that in a way that was like, yeah, that's how you were meant to do it the whole time. We're like, yeah, shit. That's the one.
Yeah, actually, on that record, Broken Cog, the middle riff has been really kicking me in the face the last few days.
It's a real treat, man.
Yeah,
it's a real treat. It's so sick to have that.
It's still so weird to see Tomas drum though, just because he always looks so relaxed, like just chill. Like you're listening to these lines. Yeah,
like he's just walking the dog. It's
right. It's just like you almost halfway expect him to like yawn at some point, where it's just
Yeah, it is. It's amazing to watch all of them. To be honest, I don't know if you play an instrument, but
I play bass poorly.
Give them a Sugar Song a go. It is anti everything that you thought you knew.
Right.
About music. Like I did a cover of Dancers to a Discordant System a few years ago, and it is by far the hardest thing I've ever had to play. By far. Yeah, it's just I don't understand how they do it so casually while headbanging on stage, because it makes no fucking sense. Like,
did you see Tigran Hamasyan put out a Facebook post of like he like deconstructed while he was waiting for a plane, he deconstructed the polyrhythms for one of the things, and it's just it's like lyrics, but it's just numbers. It's the coolest thing ever as well. Knowing that,
look at that,
yeah, because from the jazz world as well, like that, it's such a cool thing going around.
I was about to say they're about the first thing that struck me about them that confused other people. Like I felt like they were sort of like a very metal version of jazz.
They are.
then again, a lot of people I know aren't big into jazz, which I don't understand that either. I was always huge into jazz. I grew up on jazz, so it's but I also think that's influenced quite a bit of what I listen to in general too, is just because that's one of the reasons why prog, gent, stuff like that, things that have a little bit more body to how they're built is generally tends to be what I enjoy more. So
yeah, I understand. It's weird because I'd never really, and still to this day, don't really like that much jazz. It's very when it's freeform jazz, it's too much for me. It's just it's all the way over there,
right?
But there are some, there's some parts of jazz that are incredible too, like Alan Holdsworth, for example, who basically Meshuggah owe quite a lot to when you listen to it. But that's not a bad thing. I mean, we all have our influences, don't we?
Right.
Yeah.
And a really great modern depiction of that as well, as I've been thinking about it more and more, is what Arch Echo are doing. Like, it is the gentiest of the proggiest of the everything, but it's also jazz informing that they are taking solo breaks in between the crazy riffs, and it's just like it's all just coming full circle now. Like there ain't, I mean, it already was, but now it's like the sphere is just so well constructed of all the influences mirroring each other across the spectrum, isn't it?
Yeah.
So how did you guys meet, actually?
Funny. Mike sent, I think he was 15 at the time, sent me a message on MySpace. Now, this is really
the MySpace days. I gotta love it.
Oh, the golden days, man.
And he's like, hey, are you looking for a drummer? I love your stuff. And send me a video of him playing one of the tracks perfectly, age 15.
I just was so into this kind of music, and I was just I didn't realize it, but I was just trying to find a way to just make that kind of music with anyone who was doing that same kind of thing, you know, as a young, inspired, intensely, overwhelmingly over practicing musician. Just like, can I find someone else to be OCD with, please? And Browne was like, super into it. And funnily enough, it only really came about because of you put a blog post.
And Fell Silent disbanded, basically.
You put a blog post out saying Monument's looking for a drummer to jam with for the side project. I threw another video at Browne where I'd done a bit of a better job on it in my mind. And then he watched it and he went, so funny story. It's actually not that Monuments is looking for a side project. It's a ruse. Fell Silent's actually split up and it's not public yet. Do you want to join Fell Silent? And I was like, yes, please.
Then we decided just to
I went out to my HMV and I bought the fucking record.
Oh wow.
And I was like, I can't go up there and say that I've been listening to it on LimeWire, which I had been. I was like, I have to actually buy the thing now, otherwise this isn't fair.
But you know what? It's almost more impressive that you were listening to it on LimeWire, because you were risking your entire computer to listen to that.
Dude, I'd been through like 3 of them at the time. I had to keep reinstalling it all over. I mean, you're young, you're a little shit, you don't understand these things.
Yeah, that was one of the bright sides about myself at the time, was that I was actually pretty good with computers at that point, so I managed to figure out how to not get my computer viruses as often as possible. A few still snuck through, but because it's still youth.
When you find the album is just a .exe file and you're like,
right. Well, that and I started realizing too, if you looked at the comments on them beforehand, because usually somebody would say something that they got a virus from it. But
back then it was a single page that had one comment system, as opposed to like the proxy ridiculousness where there's just no community within it anymore.
Do you know, I've got a theory, right? Because I remember when I was, doing that stuff, everyone did. Obviously get LimeWire, Napster, whatever it was that you wanted to use as your download platform. And I always had different virus protection softwares. And my computer would always fucking die from a virus. And then I'd have to reinstall everything, which was a pain in the ass because it was all mechanical drives. Took forever. But then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to uninstall this virus protection software and see what happens. And guess what? I never got a virus.
Because it was always be the virus protection will just delete the system files and corrupt the whole thing.
Yeah. Or maybe they're creating the fucking viruses so that they can sell you their software.
Actually, if you especially back then, if you would install another antivirus when you already had one there,
Yeah.
they would see each other as viruses.
Yeah.
So,
It's very bizarre, wasn't it? Yeah. But yeah, it's weird. At the moment after that, I never got another virus. And obviously I would do this, the occasional scan. What was that virus scan that used to go into your DOS? And would
Was that Avast?
no, it was another one.
AVG was one of the free ones, and then
I know the one you're talking about.
Malware Bytes was another one too.
Was it CombiFix?
There were a few of them.
But yeah, I used to run that like once every few months, and never came out with anything. So don't install virus protection software, and you won't get one.
Just don't pirate stuff. Just mind. Just don't do it.
You know, I'm kind of there's a big part of me that's glad that that's not so much a thing anymore. I mean, it's one of those. As much as I'm not a huge fan about how little a lot of the streaming services pay out to the bands, it's still better than pirating because there's at least something coming in. And on top of that, less people's computers are dying in the process.
Yeah, that's for sure. And the data is so useful. Our visa process is now based on the streaming numbers. We have access to that data.
Right.
We can use that to, like, I've started actually, I'm still nowhere near as adept with it as I'd like to be, but when you're a band, you can only do so much non-musical things and still have, sanity. But it is amazing because we can look at how each of these 3 singles have come out and see how the reaction has kind of been, and we can compare the way that we're presenting ourselves and actually, put it out. And that matters so much that can actually be the defining factor of what gets us into the country to do the tours. So it's like, it's amazing in that sense, as well as the fact that anyone does a cover on YouTube, the algorithm can pick that out, even if the audio is different, and credit appropriately. I think that system is just, the more I think about it, the more astonished I am that even exists in the first place. I know it pisses a lot of people off, especially when stuff actually gets blocked. I mean, it's all out of our hands anyway. It's with the distribution end of the labels, but it's incredible that like that kind of tracking can centralize and show you a snapshot of what your music is doing to people around the world and who's listening to it, who's covering it, who's re-uploading it, who's reacting to it. It's astonishing, really.
Well, I think one thing that's kind of exciting is at least with the new album and everything too, that I feel like more and more people, when I talk about Monuments, actually know who you guys are now. It's definitely, because it was one of those things, like I said, I was introduced simply by, you guys were on tour with Devin Townsend and Animals as Leaders, and that's what introduced me on there. I had heard at least in passing about the band, but I had never really heard anything by the band. It was, I knew there was, I think it was described to me at one point, at least early on, it was like, oh, it's, it's sort of along the same lines as like, why am I with Periphery and stuff like that, and which is like, oh yeah, well they had Periphery's old singer and stuff like that. It's like, oh okay,
Yeah, I think that there's something really feels like it's shifted in the way that we approach, like how I don't think we've ever done this much in support of a record ourselves at Browne. Like, I don't know what Phronesis was like, but Gnosis and Amanuensis, I don't remember being anywhere near having this many conversations and this much activity and also smashing the socials anywhere near as hard. I just feel like something's kind of changed with us where we're actually kind of like enjoying the hustle of that more than.
Well, it's a lot easier now too, actually. I think that one thing that with the COVID stuff is that it made it a lot easier eventually to communicate with people. So interviews like this where everything could be done in nice video and stuff like that. I wasn't set up for this at all initially when COVID
same.
Hit,
this is all COVID, like
right.
It just wouldn't be a thing.
Oh yeah, like one of the reasons why I have all my setup the way I do is because even for my day job, I needed to start actually looking into being more comfortable at home because it was that's where I was working from. Initially, I was literally working from my couch, which wasn't particularly comfortable. I replaced it. Now I have a nicer one, but because my computer chair, actually, the very first week that I started working from home, collapsed.
Oh.
So,
Hey, you need to get that Herman Miller air on, mate.
Yeah, to be fair, this IKEA one's been doing me well, but I mean, we were both where we worked from hasn't changed because having your setup the way that you have to have it doesn't, there is no office per se for most musicians, at least. It's kind of like you're just developing your own space. But yeah, not only the communication for the interviews is so much easier, but the communication for actually writing it. We hadn't seen Andy since 2020 when our tour finished. The next time we saw him in person, the album was finished, handed in, it was done. It was like, how we didn't see the guy. Like, we just did this. It's mental that we could write an entire record with him and him then just track all of his own stuff at home and just completely remote. I mean, me and Browne only hung out probably, we must have only been hanging out for like maybe 6-7 weeks total out of that entire period when I'd come up and work with you on
most of it was literally when we recorded the drums and did the pre-production. The rest of it was all remote. And obviously, I don't know what it was like over there, Jay, but here, you could only leave your house to get groceries. At one point.
It was, in theory, it was similar, but let's be real. Americans really aren't that intelligent about how, at least in general, about how they handle. I mean, it was one of the reasons why our numbers were spiking more than anybody else's.
Yeah, and you don't have so many people like crammed into the same spaces as much as we do. We had to take it really seriously, like it was mental at the beginning. Yeah.
Oh, at first we were supposed to, and in fact they like put in regulations, everything like that. But everybody was like, "I'm not doing this. I'm not wearing masks. I'm not." Oh, Jesus.
Well, over here you would get fined if you didn't wear a mask. So that's kind of why we have the masks in some of our videos. Over that period of time, because you would literally get fined if you got caught. I remember I was standing outside my studio one day and a police van was in the building next to me fining people because they weren't wearing masks. And
then we had people commenting on us, calling us virtue signalers, and it was like, we're just literally following like law.
Hey, we're musicians, we don't have any fucking money.
or virtues. We're just fucking trying to make gent, dude. We're not like trying to tell people how to live their lives. We just go boobada jiggada jiggada boobada. That was cool. Do it again. Like, that's as far as it goes. We're not trying to actually be smart or anything.
No.
Just trying to make people fucking do this. That's literally the sole purpose of what we do. Yeah. Like, we've got some fucking nefarious intention. We're just a bunch of guys making music.
I mean, and not that I want to devolve into this, but I mean, you saw our president, anyways.
we looked on in shame, but
no, we didn't. No, we followed.
No, it was like watching. It's that train wreck theory. That you want to watch and see what's going on the entire time. I mean, it's like it might be a dumpster fire, but you want to see how this dumpster fire turns out.
Yeah, it's just outrage PR tactics, but we've been having it on in our own soil for the last, God knows how long as well. So
yeah.
It seems to be the end thing these days for politicians. So
it gets great numbers.
Great numbers. Act stupid. That's the way to do it.
Right. So
I might have to start following on from that and do that myself.
So, Mike, are you still teaching as far like doing teaching drums and such?
Yeah. While I was away from the band, especially in the last couple of years, while I was having like really working on my hip injury and having surgery and stuff, I was teaching at a proper college. I quit that job just before our tour started in January 2020, and that's when it all ended. And I was like,
great timing.
I'd made the imagine the guy who's like had to start and stop for 5 years, finally feeling good, commits, and then that happens. It was like for a few months I was just like, I'm done. And then it was like, okay, let's put ourselves back together, see what we can do. And so I still do teach drums, mainly remotely. It's really, really great because there are just so many musicians out there wanting to develop the craft, and they watch what we do and they're like, how? And it's actually really cool to be able to find out what they're doing and give them the specific tools for how they want to do it. And I've had some really great sessions with non-drummers, the programmers, the guitarist programmers, for one, helping them to program drums that translate better when they do find a drummer, and also they do more for the song. Right. And when they do find the drummer, them learning the terminology that drummers know means they can communicate their ideas better. And God knows how many times it took us so many years to actually start speaking the same language, man. Like, do you remember? Like, I'd be like, "Yeah, can you do the thing?" You'd be like, "The what?" I'd be like, "The thing." You'd be like, "The what?" I mean, there would actually be terms.
Yeah,
We'd
right.
be
Said it there. Do the thing. I have
that's
fucking
how
idea what that means.
That's how he translated it.
Yeah. I'd say like I'd talk in semiquavers. You'd talk in 16th notes. You know, the language would stop being about music theory. You know, and it would start being about DAWs, and then their British terminologies and American terminologies are all completely different. What the heck is a triplet, etc.? It's just,
I know what a triplet is, though. Don't put me that low, mate.
You're not there. You've never been there. I'm talking about but it happens. It happens so much, and it's awesome to be part of the solution, because it diffuses arguments and it makes people happier, and that's the only reason to do anything, right? So, but I'm a really passionate educator. I love to help people out with that kind of stuff.
Have you done any session work since coming back to Monuments?
Yeah, actually, in 2020, I think one of the biggest things I've ever done, funnily enough, happened, which was Tesseract's Portals show. It was while COVID was happening, it was like a live streamed concert, which had the most ridiculous audiovisual array. Like there were lasers doing things that lasers shouldn't be able to do, and it only came about because Jay couldn't fly over. Yeah, literally, triplets, dude. What the fuck? Anyway, and Jay just couldn't fly over because he couldn't risk not being able to make it home. That was that kind of shit was just happening with a couple of days' notice, so he couldn't come over. He couldn't quarantine and maintain doing his drum streaming because that was his source of income at the time, and he was just like, you know, he gave me a call, gave me like 6 weeks to learn like 21 Tesseract songs. Fucking absolute nightmare, but it was so much fun. Kind of got me back into the game because I was still pretty not handling just doing what I was doing so well, because it had been such a hard time and everything. But but yeah, there's always some kind of session going on. It's one of the things I also love to do, to kind of provide a bit of that kind of cool drummy overplay. It's basically just overplay on everyone's stuff and say it's cool. It's a lot of fun to do though. It helps me to have lots of things going on at once. For some reason, I lose perspective when I just do one thing for too long. It kind of sucks, but it's also a lot of fun.
So, Browne, have you been doing anything aside from Monuments here?
Yeah, I have my own teaching site called Riff Hard. Originally, when COVID hit, it was just me as the tutor on there. And then COVID hit and it kind of went a little bit crazy, and we started getting guest guitar players to teach their stuff on there too. So we've had Wes Hauk from Alluvial, Dan Sugarman from Ice Nine Kills, Miles Dimitri Baker from Interloper, Dean Lamb from Archspire, Malcolm Pugh from Inferi. This month is Richard Shaw from Cradle of Filth. We had Jack Gardner, and there's one that I've missed out, and my brain is going around circles here. Mike Dawes, that's it, yeah. So yeah, we've had a huge range of different players coming on to teach the students that we have.
Oh, that is fantastic! Actually,
it's like a rhythm guitar focused school as well, which is really sick.
Now we've started drifting over to leads and stuff as well, but obviously rhythm is a huge focus,
right?
But the main reason that we ask these other guitar players is that we want them to present their lessons in how they see it, because there isn't really a right or wrong when it comes to music. It's like, you know, how do you play that? And one way that is right for one person isn't right for another, and vice versa. As long as you're not injuring yourself, it's not wrong, is it? So we kind of want to sort of push that kind of thing, just like this person sees it like this person sees it like this, and they come together in the middle and they see it the same way. It's just slightly different, like what Mike was speaking about, the difference between a drummer and a guitar player that programs on a DAW. It's the same language, just seen in different lights. And I think it's the same when it comes to different guitar techniques, legato, hybrid picking, whatever it is. then everyone does it slightly differently, and you find the way that works best for you. So yeah.
So obviously, then you probably both actually enjoy teaching quite a bit.
Yeah.
I enjoy filming videos, like going in depth with cameras. That's kind of what over lockdown my thing's been about. So yeah, I do enjoy teaching, but then at the end of the video when I'm teaching, I'm just like, look at the contrast on that camera. That lens is a little bit green. So but yeah, I mean, with the the other guests that we've had on, it's given me time to explore with the cameras as well, which is fun. So I get to geek out on that side of thing. But yeah, I do enjoy teaching. Yeah, been doing it now. Riff Hard went live in 2018, same day that Phronesis came out, actually.
Wow, yeah.
It's been a minute then.
Yeah. Didn't start when COVID hit. That's when it went crazy. And I think that after that point now, it's just been on a trajectory going up, which is great.
I'm really hoping that I don't have to wait. So when I pre-ordered Phronesis, actually, I think it was like 2 months it took for me to get the album after.
Wow, really?
Like, because I pre-ordered it. It was but it was like the UK site, so I think that was part of it there. But still, even with that, that was like 2 months before.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, obviously the whole Brexit thing.
Yeah.
We've actually been tackling something with that recently with CDs and vinyls. So obviously we're on this island that now has to fill out all this bullshit paperwork to get stuff from Europe.
And everything's coming from pressing houses in Germany. So yeah, the back and forth on it is just like, we got it solved. We don't have it solved. This should have been done ages ago. Oh wait, you say you've been waiting on this day. We gave it to you. And it's just like,
I think we finally have a date though, right?
I don't actually have that in confirmation. I can't believe I don't have it in confirmation. I should. I think we do. I'm not sure. The go ahead is there. It's just a matter of like, has it been? I don't even understand it anymore. It's a learning curve. Every single email is like okay. But yeah, we're doing our absolute best. The key thing is making sure that we can sign them, get them to our fulfillment center, and then they can get off. But I think everyone will understand if that's a little bit difficult lately with how that works. So I think hopefully they'll be patient with it. But we're still busting chops to make that happen.
I mean, as soon as those vinyls arrive and we get them, we'll sign them, get them sent off to our fulfillment, which is allotment. They're like our people that distribute all of our merch.
Right.
So we're hoping that it's going to be sent before release date. And that's the plan.
Hopefully.
That's the plan. It won't be 2 months. We're just waiting for the UK government to decide how much they want to charge us on the vinyls and CDs.
Yeah. Completely indirectly as well for about 7 intermediaries.
Right.
Yeah. Who all take a long time to respond to each other. So
yeah.
It's just because it's such a large shipment.
But we apologize that your shipment took 2 months.
So yeah, that's mad.
That's pretty mad, yeah.
But hey, you know what? The CD's gotten a lot of love. The shirt that I got at the time already at this point, like I had to take the sleeves off because the sleeves were falling off. So, they weren't falling off from the get-go, but I wore it to a lot of shows. So,
yeah. So lots of mosh pits, lots of beer spill.
Hell, I even, although it's not finished, I actually I like the design of the shirt that I got so much. I actually got a tattoo of like the.
Oh, really?
Well, I don't know how well you could see it. It's kind of upside down. It's the skull and the Ouroboros.
Sick!
Yeah, you got that one. Sick. Yeah, that one was by what's that? Visual Amnesia, or was that
Ouroboros?
Yeah, it's the one with the snakes eating each other with the skull.
Yeah, right around the skull. Yeah,
I can't remember if it was Visual Amnesia or the other one, Easy. I can't remember his name now. I feel really bad about this.
I think that was being done at the time when I was joining. So,
that was Visual Amnesia. So the tattoo you got with that artwork is the same guy that's done the album cover for this album
and the single artwork as well.
Yeah, same guy.
He does great work.
He really does. Yeah.
So yeah, but Actually, ironically enough, that's the only music band related tattoo that I have too. So
Oh well, thank you
That's
very
so
much.
sick.
so
That's so sick, man. Thank you.
yeah, because I'm sure that there's points where you guys end up talking to people that are not super familiar with you guys, or just vaguely. And you know, I always try to listen to, you know, the bands I'm talking to, everything like that, but I generally don't actually seek out interviews unless it's a band that I really, really dig. So
That's
Well, I
awesome,
appreciate
man.
that. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing worse than talking to someone if you don't like their music.
yeah, because so once upon a time I used to work for terrestrial radio station in Ohio, and then at one point online online radio station that they used to set me up with all kinds of interviews of bands that I didn't really give a shit about. And you know, it's one of those things I absolutely anybody who's going out there and doing the grind and everything like that, I absolutely respect, but that does not mean that I necessarily can even remotely tolerate their music in some cases.
But however, there is one positive thing about that. You might meet someone that is so fucking cool.
Oh, and I've done that too. There are a few people that I've become friends with over the years that I despise their band.
Yeah. I think that it's really interesting how the two correlate, isn't it? When you listen to music, you're not really a big fan of it, but then you get to know the people behind it, and that kind of lifts the music in a positive way.
Yeah.
But that can also happen vice versa. There might be a band that you really love. One person in the band's a complete and utter wally, and then it sort of jades the music as well.
Yes. And I've had that happen too.
Yeah.
I mean, because I've been doing interviews and stuff probably since about 2012. So it's been
10 years.
Yeah, it's been about 10 years. So I've met people all across the board, and in general, it's been pretty positive, but there've definitely been a few in there that were anything but.
I think it's also good to remember, and this is one way that I sort of see people, just because if you've met them once and maybe you didn't get the reaction that you wanted, maybe it was a bad day for them. Right. So I tend to give people the 3-finger, you know, the 3-finger, like, you know, three times the charm.
Right.
So they're a dickhead first time. All right, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Second time, it's like, you're running out of luck, my friend, to have me even want to talk to you anymore. Third time, then it's kind of bad. But obviously, if it's only once or twice, then you could probably, like, you know, if he's someone.
Oh yeah, there's actually one band that I'm okay even saying about that. Like that, the first time I dealt with them, it was awful. Santa Cruz.
Okay.
And however, the second time that I talked to them, I mean, the first time it was like just dog shit awful. It was the very first interview that I completely did not use, that refused to put out because it was so terrible. And they literally got up in the middle of it and said, "Oh, somebody else is playing. We're going to go see them." Cool. All right. Well, fuck you too, I guess. But the second time I actually talked to them, it was a fantastic interview, and I had a lot. And they even apologized about the last time because they remembered me.
Wow.
So
they probably just felt uncomfortable or something.
Right. And I mind you, they had already played that day and everything, and it was a festival, and I was like one of the last people that had them scheduled. So I think that probably
they probably just all bled over, and they were just
right.
knackered and probably jet lagged and just like
right. And but I think that it's rare that I have bad experiences. I think the last time I really had a bad experience was probably
right now.
No, just terrible, fucking awful. No.
Yes, we made it. Yes.
I want to say that and you know what? I interviewed them 3 times. It was dog shit each time. Yeah. Greta Van Fleet.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I had a poor experience with them all 3 times. I never scheduled any of them myself. It was actually before I started just kind of going off and doing my own thing.
Yeah.
And mind you, by that 3rd time, it might have been me. because at that point I was, it's like, really, you guys are gonna sit me down with them again?
I think that also sometimes just personalities clash as well. It's just sometimes it just wasn't meant to be. And that's good in a way as well, because it means that you now know that personality clashes, like, it can.
Well, they didn't want to. I think their handlers didn't want them answering anything but specific questions as far as like the album tour or so on and so forth, and that's it. They didn't want to, and those are boring ass interviews.
I think so as well. Yeah, I mean, like in today's society, like I remember when I was growing up, what you'd have is like the CD front cover, maybe a picture of the band that was in the CD, and then tour dates, and you wouldn't really know anything else about them unless you lived close by, maybe bumped into them, ended up becoming friends.
Right.
It was like really like, this is the band, this is the music, then that's it.
Well, I mean, obviously, we mentioned that you had some tour dates and stuff like that coming up. Usually I try to keep really brief to anything that's time contextual, because I always like being able to have something interesting with the interviews that people would want to actually come back for later on and actually take a look at, and where it's not just going to be like, okay, well, they're talking about this thing that happened a year ago over and over again,
Yeah.
And
exactly.
That's no fun.
No, it's not. Like, everyone wants to know the juicy details. It's like Jersey Shore. I think I triggered something.
Oh,
there we go.
Reality TV in general, I can't do. I've never been able to do. I just yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone that I know that can handle reality TV, it's normally only one show, and it's because they've been watching it for 20 years and they just can't. It's constant cliffhanger after cliffhanger, and they just can't. It's almost like an addiction, Right. But yeah, I mean, I can't really do it either. I mean, I don't even have a TV license. I just don't watch television. I watch Netflix occasionally, a little bit of Disney Plus.
I haven't done anything but streaming for years at this point. I don't have much of a reason to, and I don't. The only thing that I'm at all sad about occasionally is that I do enjoy watching hockey. That's about the only sport that I really keep up with, though.
It's interesting. In the UK, hockey isn't really huge like it is over there.
Well, it's not even really huge here. It's more there are some states where it's bigger, and then obviously Canada. But like, hockey's not that big in the US, honestly.
Weird, because it always seems like it's fairly big over there, but maybe it's just because everything here is dominated by football rather than anything else. Yeah. It's kind of like the national sport that I also don't watch anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to have to do this, but I'm going to have to move on to getting some other emailers and getting ready for the next interviews that are on. And I'm sorry to cut the chat.
Oh, no,
that's awesome.
No, that's fine. I was having a great conversation. I appreciate it.
Us too, man. Us too. It's awesome, dude. We really appreciate you, like, all the way. It's hard managing it. It's never been this busy, as we say. So it's it's getting tricky to do. But yeah, the knock-on effect is just like we've kind of been there in a few of the previous ones, and it's like, dang it. Yeah,
we gotta go.
Well,
it doesn't work.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to hearing the rest of in Stasis. That like I said, I've adored what you guys have done for a very long time at this point, and really excited with the new album with Andy on there. And,
thank you very much.
I really appreciate that, man.
And I'm glad you guys had some time to spend with me today. I always, like I said, I always enjoy talking to bands that I really personally enjoy myself. So
glad you dig it, and now hassle our publicist to get you a copy of that record.
Get the copy. We'll keep in touch if the American tour does end up happening, and when it does happen, we'll hopefully catch you on the road. If it comes nearby, then
if it comes anywhere nearby. I'm in Columbus, Ohio, but still, I've never minded.
Oh my god, I just remembered a gig from Columbus, Ohio, the one in the Chinese Takeaway.
Was that the one we did together?
Yeah, with Glass Cloud and Nirvana played.
We did a Chinese Takeaway? Dude, it's all become a blur to me. That's mental. The only one I can remember is Guildford's Boiler Room. That was...
No, this was like a 90 cap room.
Oh shit! I think I have a memory of it.
Remember, Novena played, and the upstairs was the backstage, and it was all like a Chinese. It was like a Chinese restaurant or Chinese takeaway or something. It was
Novena played.
Yeah, no, not. Maybe they're not called Novena. I can't remember now. It must be, but it wasn't the one Novena from the UK. It was Novella.
Oh,
from America.
I can't remember. But either way, yeah. Well, I think it might be coming through. So fingers crossed we get to actually like chat some more and
absolutely.
You know,
I really want to see you guys live. Like I said too, I'd be really excited to hear you guys with a singer.
Yeah, it'll happen, man. And for sure, as the more once it's out and this thing really, you know, all this press goes out, hopefully there'll be more and more opportunities and there'll be more festivals that you'll get to catch us on. So thank you for helping spread the word. You're part of the reason why any of those cool things that happen. That's because of the love you're given and all that are listening. And thanks for supporting Jay's channel and everything, and just keep rocking the good rock. You know, that was the cheesiest fucking thing I think I've ever said. Can you delete that? For
no,
God's
absolutely not.
Write it on my goddamn gravestone.
That's right. Well, guys, once again, I appreciate it. For anybody watching, listening, make sure that first off, you pick up the new album. Hell, pick up all of the albums. All of them.
There we go.
Right?
There we go.
And
yeah.
If you're in the UK, there's a lot of dates coming up. Hell, if you're in Europe in general, there's a lot of dates coming up. And I really hope to see you guys in the US very, very soon.
You will
Fingers
do. And
crossed,
if anyone
man.
out there wants to put a Porsche Taycan on my driveway, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
Just go for gold, man.
Gold. Aim for the stars and reach the sewers.
What did they used to say on the Stick to Your Guns tour? Aim low, get high.
I forgot about that. Fucking hell, that was a long time ago.
That was, man. All right, thanks, Jay. We appreciate you, man.
All right, thank you, guys. You have a good one. All right.
You too, man. Take care.
Yeah. Bye.
Ciao. Bye.